Reddit. Anyone got an alien encounter story?
One night in the early 1980s, my mother said she saw a UFO outside behind the house. We all went to the window and there was a light in the sky. I looked at it through binoculars as it moved over the mountain behind the house. It was a disc of several lights around a center light. My dad also saw it. My mother called the government. Sometime later, 2 men showed up. They arrived in an unmarked panel truck. They listened to our story and took notes about what we saw.
I am 40. When I was around 10 or 11, my aunt's father, Willie, wanted to take me deer hunting. This was in the 90s. I noticed a light that I figured was around 200 yards in front of us in a field area, and 200 feet above the ground. Light started to break and I kept watching it. It was a white light with a slight green hue. I was scared to death, crying. Willie kept saying, "It's okay, it ain't gonna hurt yak." The entire ship did a wobbling motion. Imagine the end of the spin when you flick a quarter on a table. The last few wobbles, it did it for about a minute, and then it went from slow wobble to literally gone in less than a second. No, I wasn't on drugs or dreaming. I was about 10 or 11 and no, I wasn't hallucinating. Yes, this did happen.
My brother stumbled upon an extraterrestrial once. We fed it Reese's Pieces.
When I was little, my brother stumbled upon an extraterrestrial that was too extra. Did someone say, diva terrestrial? Loved drama, and always had to be the center of attention. You know the type. Constantly crying about wanting to phone home.
The following is from an article that was posted on April 19th, 1987.
About 6 o'clock this morning, the early risers of Aurora, Texas were astonished at the sudden appearance of the airship which had been sailing through the country. It was traveling due north and much nearer the Earth than ever before. Evidently some of the machinery was out of order, for it was making a speed of only 10 or 12 miles an hour and gradually setting toward the Earth. It sailed directly over the public square, and when it reached the north part of town collided with the tower of Judge Proctor's windmill and went to pieces with a terrific explosion, scattering debris over several acres off ground, wrecking the windmill and water tank, and destroying the judge's flower garden.
The pilot of the ship is supposed to have been the only one on board, and while his remains are badly disfigured, enough of the original has been picked up to show he was not an inhabitant of this world. Mr. T.J. Wima, the United States Signal Service officer at this place, and an authority on astronomy, gives it as his opinion that he was a native of the planet Mars. Papers found on his person evidently the record of his travels and written in some unknown hieroglyphics, and cannot be deciphered.
The ship was too badly wrecked to form any conclusion as to its construction or motive power. It was built of an unknown metal, resembling somewhat a mixture of aluminum and silver, and it must have weighed several tons. The town is full of people today, who are viewing the wreck and gathering specimens of the strange metal from the debris. The pilot's funeral will take place at noon tomorrow.
So, he had a body, and was buried. If someone got the body out, even if it is the skeleton, it should be proof enough of alien life, right?
There was some mention of intelligence/suited types messing with the gravesite.
Papers found on his person. Ha ha ha. So funny.
I was in an aisle shopping at Kmart when this girl and her dad come around the corner. The girl sees me and says excitedly, "There's a human here." To which her dad replied, "Yes, there's humans everywhere."
Girl, you just met aliens.
Not unusual for Kmart.
No alien story, just a big-ass UFO. It was June 16, 2019, approximately 1 a.m. Go out for a cig, and there's a weird star above this mountaintop. Probably a satellite, I tell myself, then realize it's closer and not a star or satellite. Okay, plane? No, it's sitting idle. Helicopter. All of a sudden this thing lights up into a triangle and starts zigzagging, leaving rainbow-like contrails. I'm like, alright, WTF. I go bust out my 40 times zoom spotting scope and set up on my deck. Sure as ish, it's a huge effing ship. I watched it for an hour. It did the weird triangles thing.
How can I make contact to these alien beings? I've seen a lot of UFO, but I never seen an alien before.
I saw a UFO.
What happened exactly? Can you recall it?
No, too drunk.
Riveting stuff.
the government revealed that one species of animal isn't actually from Earth and are, in fact, an alien. What animal do you think it is?
Octopuses. The idea has been floating around for some time already. Much like the octopuses.
Honey badgers. It's suspicious how they never give a buck.
Several times while in the boonies of Afghanistan we witnessed some aircraft, usually at night, perform mind-bending maneuvers and speed. No idea what they were, and any attempts to report them were met with immediate, almost manufactured ridicule.
I saw those here in Texas. My husband and I were out having a drink, late night, and we watched them go mind-boggling speeds. They moved and changed angles so quickly, in ways that could not have been drones. They were flashing like they were taking pictures every few seconds.
A good friend of mine was a tenured professor at the University of California at Davis. He was a no-nonsense conservative type guy from a rich family and not a person that would make up a bullish story. He knew I believed in flying saucers and extraterrestrials but never would really engage in speculative conversations with me at all. One time before he died he told me in confidence about seeing a real flying saucer with two of your classic ET types. He said he and a friend were up in the range of hills behind Lawrence Livermore Laboratory, hunting for rattlesnakes. The hills are pretty wild and go down on the west of the Central Valley from the Bay Area to Los Angeles. He and his friend were going uphill and just as their heads crested a hill looking over into the next hollow they saw a silver flying saucer on stilts with two ETs that saw my friend at the same time. It scared the crap out of them, and they hit the dirt, looking over the ridge as the ETs hurried inside their flying saucer. The flying saucer and took off, disappeared as they do. My friend swore me to silence about the whole thing, as serious as cancer.
Did he say what the aliens looked like, or what the saucer looked like?
They were classic greys, the way he described them, except he said they were about 6 feet tall.
I'm willing to believe in UFOs and ETs, but if you expect me to believe that UC Davis has a tenured professor who's also a conservative, you're pushing it.
My boyfriend and I just saw what we believe to be a UFO a few weeks ago. We were taking a walk on some country road surrounding our house around sunset. As the sun dipped below the horizon, we turned back to head home when a little orangish light flew up from behind the trees, in the back of the fields that lined the road. It shot straight up from the trees, then headed south, maintaining the same height. We ran along the road, following it, and eventually it flew into some clouds, and never came out the other side.
I was stargazing when I saw a round, low flying object, with 5 lights that spun as it flew, and it flew fast. It made no sounds whatsoever, despite how close it was. No engine whirring, no air whooshing, nothing. I've never seen it or something like it ever again, but I still keep my eyes peeled when I watch the night sky.
To this day I have no idea what happened. I was about 9, at a friend's house for a sleepover with his older brother, who was about 17, supervising us during the party. It's the middle of the night when me and the rest of the kids are watching a movie. We see this greenish light coming from the window. One kid goes out to look and says there is a weird floating thing out there. I look, and there's this circular thing giving off a green aura. However, I couldn't get a really good look because the light was so blinding. Elder comes in after having been outside and tells us, "Get away from the window. Something is out there," and it almost took the dog. Whatever it was that night still confused me to this day.
No, not the dog.
I'm a cat person, so I wouldn't have cared all that much. Plus, the dog bit me.
Has anyone encountered aliens in dreams? What did they look like? Was the encounter positive or negative?
Well, yes, they looked like normal people but with purple-grayish skin and yellow eyes, like the Inquisitors in Star Wars. I approached to interact, but instead they just shot me with some sort of electrical gun. I fought back, destroying the ship, and then I flew away. Don't know why they were hostile.
Sorry to hear that they were hostile. Overall, it's much more rewarding to have a peaceful interaction.
Rewarding? Maybe they were hostile because you were just dreaming. Why are we acting like encounters with aliens in dreams is anything more than just a dream about aliens? And why did the idiots who produced this YouTube video even include us in the video?
Maybe they thought it was funny, or maybe all of their videos are 10 minutes so they had some time to fill.